what's going on, guys? Alright, so about a week ago my friend Aaron had made a post on my my Facebook group showing a video on how to make a homemade waterproof. And basically is what this stuff is used for is like canvas and things like that. And the first thing that came to mind for me was using it on my Carhartt coats, things like that. I do not want to put it on my Carhartt coat first until I know that I'm going to be happy with the results. So I'm going to use this coat, which is exactly the same as a Carhartt coat. This is a Browning brand, and we're going to see how well this stuff works. So let's take a look at the items that I got today and show you exactly what you're going to need. Alright, so these are the items that you're going to need. First thing is a 1 pound block of beeswax. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby for like $14 and some change. Some sort of container to make this in. Some turpentine, some linseed oil, some sort of measuring device, and I am going to use a makeshift little can stove and some rubbing alcohol in order to melt this stuff down. This stuff is hard. Alright, cutting that stuff is not going to go well, so I'm just going to try to break it up a little bit here. Yep, that's the key right there. Okay, now, not entirely sure what the hell I was thinking when I went to try to cut this stuff up. Yeah, don't do that. Gonna end up chopping a finger off, or best case scenario, you're gonna spend an hour trying to clean your knife blade off. That was pretty stupid of me. Common sense should have told me not to do that, but well, I guess common sense went out the window right then. Hit it with a hammer, fractured up, broke off nice chunks, nice and easy. Let's melt this stuff down. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the can in the bottom of my grill. I know that you can put the can, or the the container of the wax directly on top of the can, but I kind of want it to get a little hotter and a little faster, so I'm going to do it this route instead. Alright, so it is just about melted down. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off this heat right quick. Alright, so 8 ounces linseed oil, what the recipe calls for. And 8 ounces turpentine. Okay, so it's been several hours, and with stirring this stuff, it's still not fully set up, but I'm going to go ahead and go for it anyway, because quite frankly I don't think it's really going to matter. One thing I do want to point out though is this is definitely something that you need to take into consideration if you decide you want to try this. It's not majorly flammable, but it's pretty flammable. So just keep that in mind. Okay, well, I have a feeling this is going to take forever. But Okay, so before we do the water testing, see if this thing actually is in fact waterproof or highly hot water resistant at this point. The front side I have done, but I did it a lot lighter, put a lighter coat on it than I did the back side. I just kind of wanted to see the difference in between the two, because I mean, if you can get away with a lighter coat versus a thicker coat, that's good, just because it saves your waterproofing. So let me flip this over and show you the back side. You'll notice a really big difference in between the two. Okay, and as you can see, the back side has definitely received a much heavier coat. Black is definitely not something, or is definitely not a good color for this. You can see that a thicker coat really shows up even after heating it up and letting it absorb into the material. For me, I don't really care, because this is a work coat, and like I said, I don't care what it looks like. But if you do care, you know, what the appearance of your coat is going to look like afterwards, this is definitely something to take into consideration. A lot of different colors are not going to show up as bad as black, but I think they still will show up. Okay, so let's start on the hood here. I'm just going to have my wife reach over the top and start pouring some water on. Okay. Okay, run it off the back. I can't quite see. Does it look like it's absorbing or anything, or is it just rolling off?
I can't tell.
Well, I'm feeling the inside and I don't feel anything going through, so. Okay, so let's test the front side here where it's thinner, where I did a littler coat. And it just rolls off, so it did pretty dang good. Alright, so I'm going to lay this thing down now, and I'm going to have my wife pour some of that water on the back side, and I'm going to kind of let it collect on the back and see if it absorbs in. You might be able to see there's a spot right there in the middle that is a little lighter than the rest, so I'm kind of curious about that spot. Go ahead, babe. Pour it on that middle part. Okay, go ahead and kind of pick it up, let it all roll off. Okay, now turn it over, unzip it, and kind of feel that back side. I want to see if it feels wet in there. Does it feel wet?
Not that I can feel now.
Okay, so the missus says it doesn't feel wet. Let me come around here and see if I can feel anything. No, it's still dry as can be. Now the front side, I said that I put a little lighter of a coat on there, and actually it does kind of appear up there at the top, right in this section here. It actually does kind of look like it has started to absorb into the material. So I will let this thing dry off, and I'll go back and put another coat on that. Alright, so final thoughts on this. Ultimately, this is pretty cool. I don't know that if I would ever necessarily do it again with a Carhartt coat or something like that, But you know, a canvas tarp or a haversack or something like that, yeah, I'll do this all the time. I mean, this really did work very well. I did notice that the lighter coat that I put on the front, it did absorb through a little bit, so I will definitely go back and give it a thicker coat on the front as I did on the back. Now, appearance-wise, that back looks horrible, but I'd rather it look bad and be waterproof than look good and be water resistant. The one drawback that I did see was the fact that this stuff is flammable. I don't necessarily see that being a huge problem unless you plan on going and rolling around in fire, but that is definitely something to be mindful of. So, I don't know. Give it a shot, you guys. See what you think. If you have any tips or tricks on it, I'd like to know myself. So, but as always, guys, have a good one.